your clocks by this. Oh, geez. Uh-oh. All right. All right. This morning we have Andy and Ron and Daryl and myself, Gene, and Ross and Clyde. And so everybody's here but Mike, right? And Mike is at a funeral this morning, so Mike Z will not be with us. We have a lot of items to go over, and so it should be, well, I don't want to say a lengthy meeting, but a detailed meeting anyhow. The first item, there goes my voice. The first item on the agenda is to approve the meeting minutes of 8/13/2021, which was our last meeting. So now that we're meeting again, spring must be on the way, huh? All right. So can I get any comments, suggestions for approval or whatever? There's your mic.
I am Clyde Riddle, R.I. 2 D's, 1 L.
Not Rydell.
Yeah, not whatever that.
Anything
Yeah.
else to say, or is that just what you wanted to say? Do you have anything else to say, or you just wanted to announce who you are?
Well, it was a correction of the minutes. There's someone else down there.
Motion or-
I just telling you an error on my spelling.
Oh, I confess to the error.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Yeah.
It looks better though, with 2 L's.
By the way, the meeting minutes, I misspoke. It was October 13th, and it's still RIDDEL. Right. Okay. So we got that. Okay. Now,
Make a motion to approve them as corrected.
there you go. Okay. We hear a second. Okay. Daryl seconded. The meeting minutes are of October 13th are approved, and I will submit for. Oh, I do. Okay, I have to vote. Okay. Everybody in favor? It's been a while. Opposed? Okay, I will submit the electronic version to Barb Pugh, who will put them on the web. In addition, we will have the hard copy in the grounds committee book in the workroom. So, oh, yes, yes.
This would probably be just an annual kind of thing, but to be honest, to have minutes now posted from 5 months ago doesn't make a lot of sense. I think we're better off either reviewing them, approving them by email, posting them, or posting them as draft, but somehow get them posted
Good idea.
More, yeah.
in a timely fashion.
Yeah, John Haltine is recommending, and we all agree that we shouldn't be waiting 5 minutes or 5 minutes, well, 5 months to have the meeting minutes posted. So from now on, we'll either handle it by email and do it in a more timely fashion. Okay, moving on. These items that we're going to discuss have been approved in the budget. And let me, before I go through that, let me remind our committee that from now on, we do have a new purchase request procedure and policy, if you will, which requires us from now on to be sure to use the Applewood Point credit card when we are going to purchase anything. And the first step in that process is to submit a purchase request form. So just kind of a reminder to us that this is now the procedure that we have to follow, and that's okay. No real restrictions on what we do, it's just how we do it. So under mulch, which is our first item, we have a new mulch planned for the installation of around the horseshoe in the front island, and the back patio area. And that came in at a cost of $37.50. And it's been approved in the budget. And I guess, are there any discussions on that particular area item?
Mr. President or Gene, my question, should we, in reference to the article that Iris sent us about the jumping worms, would we apply a Grubex when the mulch goes down? Or last year we paid for them to treat the soil? Should we emphasize them to really treat the mulch? I don't want to start having a problem with jumping worms if we can avoid it.
That's a good idea. Let me talk to, or we'll have Jake, I guess, talk to Quality Cutters about the addition when they're applying mulch of putting some type of a preventer, Grubex or whatever, down to prevent jumping worms. It's a good idea. So we'll see what the cost impact is on that. So,
Or maybe they should be providing mulch that is free of jumping worms.
that's a possibility, absolutely.
I'm assuming this would be done by Quality Cutters.
Correct. Quality Cutters would perform the work. Okay, so we have an item there and I'll highlight it too to Jake just to remind him. Okay, on the east and west sides of the building, if you will, the plan there is just to kind of turn over the existing mulch. And that was, so there'll be no new application of new mulch. But that was an approved budget item for $1,700. And that would be again by Quality Cutters. We can ask there at the same time about the Grubex application on that area also, or those areas. Any comments on that?
Do we have quotes on these?
The Grubex, we don't. We do have,
But the mulch is.
yes,
Did they give us a price on it?
exactly, yes. And the price is is for 2022, so we should be locked in on those numbers. Okay, mulch for lilacs, rhubarb, and the bare root plants. We estimated $150. We also plan on doing that ourselves. Any comments there? Go ahead.
I thought lilacs and rhubarb do not like to have moisture in them. And that I think maybe rhubarb last year got too much water. So I think on the rhubarb plants, my understanding, I'm not expert, is that when you do rhubarb, you pull and then you cut the top off and let that lay down and let that be your mulch. And for the first year for the lilacs, it probably was a good idea to put a little mulch there to keep the weeds down. Again, it's my understanding that both things like to have moisture and let it drain through and not sitting there. If that is true, then maybe we should rethink the mulch for those two items. But is it bear and tiger root plants or is it the beer?
It's supposed to be beer,
Okay.
beer roots.
I didn't think anybody would bring it up. but
Yeah, I know.
there's lots.
Well, it's kind of like RIDD.
Yeah, right.
At least it was consistent.
Yeah. Oh, really? I did it again someplace.
Yeah, the next line.
Oh, no. Okay, well, the beer roots. Okay. I tend to agree. I from my research, which isn't a lot, I know rhubarb, they don't like to be sitting in a lot of moisture, but I think we can ask Tom Kopachik's friend for a little advice on that too. He's an expert in rhubarb. So, that's fine if we don't need it. I think part of the problem last year was we were watering that area, that sodded area. We got so much moisture in there that I don't think it properly drained at all, but we can surely back off that plan. That's not an issue. So,
You also can do it for aesthetics, but you could also then just move it away from each of the rhubarb plants so it's not up against the plant itself. But I think it looks a little better if you've got the mulch down in there.
yeah, it tends to hopefully keep some of the weeds out of there too. So we'll have to work on that. Okay, we got purchase of bare roots again. I apologize. Spelling was not my big forte in school. But I think the message was carried across. All right, we have a City of Egan sale coming up on March 9th is when we can apply for a ticket, if you will, to purchase bare roots trees. And email contact with Adam, our forester for Egan. He's sent me a couple emails now that said that each unit in Applewood Point is considered a separate residence. So therefore, it's kind of open as to how many we can get. The way I understand the sale, we get each person that applies for the ticket will get 2 trees, bare root trees, at a cost of about $37 each. And so the question is, how many should sign up to get this ticket? And then next, what type and that kind of stuff. I did hear from Adam that the supply is rather limited this year, so we'll have to wait and see, I guess. So comments?
Well, we have $1,000 budgeted.
Well, we have $1,000 for trees. That includes bare root trees as well as replacement of, if we have any other trees out there that need a replacement.
Yeah, I guess my only concern, if everybody starts getting trees, first of all, we got to plant them. And then we've got to maintain and water them. There's no sense sticking them in the ground if we don't take the time to keep them watered.
96 trees maybe a bit.
And I think, yeah, exactly, Ron. I think that, like we talked about last year, is keep it smaller and manageable. So, we don't get overworked and just say, well, I won't water this week because, you're going to have to water at least for the first, month or two.
Well, I think first of all, then we need to figure out how many trees we think we can handle. I think the second thing would
And the
be,
type of tree.
yeah, a type of tree and what kind. And then also we could get those watering bags, pick up some watering bags to put around them so we don't have to be out there hand watering them too.
Yeah, to basically agree with what you're saying, the first thing we have to do is find out where we're going to put the trees. And we need to know the type of soil we're putting them into, because some trees do better in different types of soil. For instance, where I used to live, it's pretty clay, very clay. And my pine trees were dying out. And I had a pro come in and he said, you need to use something like a Colorado blue spruce, which works very, very well in this type of soil. The point I'm making is that just putting trees in willy-nilly is not the smartest thing to do. So there's some preparation work that we need to do.
Agreed. We do have March 9th coming around the corner. So the first step, even before that, is to sign up. And I guess I wonder how many of us should sign up for that.
I think it's actually March 10th.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
literature we have on this, it says the 10th. Is that starting at 9?
Mine says the 9th also.
Well, the city council minutes said the 10th also. Oh, here says March 9th. Yeah. Well, I just got
Anyhow.
the city council minutes. So I'm not sure.
We'll have to have them amend those minutes.
Well, we better find out. And then it takes a process. You have to have a password and sign up in order to get in there. So who's ever going to do that probably should do that ahead of time. So when the time comes, which isn't very far away, you know how to get to that ticket area.
To that site, you mean, or what?
Well, you go to the site, then you have to be able to log in and so forth with your password and your name. And then go through some steps. Then you get to, it says tickets. Then it'll allow you to get to trees. If you're just going to do it that day, it might take a little longer. Or if you've already, City of Eagan Recreation Department, if you've already got a sign in, but you forgot your password, you have to call them and get a reset and so forth. Not that I would ever forget, but I called in. So it shouldn't be a last minute thing. You should have planned out ahead of time that you know how to do it.
Yeah, but will they let you in that site so you're saying we should kind of practice ahead type of thing?
I think so.
Okay.
There are steps shown here,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying ahead of time, you should have your password and know how to log in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, be prepared is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's Discover Egan is the website. I think it's discoveregan.org, I think.
Okay. So how many of us should, I mean, how many trees do we want? We can each get 2. Shall we get 3 or 4 of us?
Well, my additional comment, we need to get rid of the Siberian elm. I mean, it's invasive. We can look all over the place, and we know the big trees are getting thousands of seedlings every year that we try to deal with. And sometime we've got to decide, and I asked to consider it on next year's budget to take those trees down. So if that's really what we're going to do, I would suggest that we would plant them in preparation for the Siberian elms to go down, and then we have trees that are, at least we see, and then hopefully will be growing. That'd be a suggestion.
Yeah.
We've already got a great big huge open area down in the southwest corner where 3 elm come down or 3 ash come down. So I mean, that's on the city property itself, but I mean, it really has left a big open area all the way from the Lilac south. So I think we also got to decide if we're going on there, if we're figuring on tree X, and there aren't any, what's the next tree? Because let's say I want to go out and get 2 Norway spruce, and I get out there and they're all gone. What's my next choice? I mean, you're going to have a backup on what trees.
Kind of
You know,
prioritize.
I would think the Norway, the Northwood red maple and the Norway spruce would be 2 good ones. We can always go to bur oak. I mean, they'll grow almost anywhere. Well, we haven't had much luck in Minneapolis with elm trees, and you know, I would just personally, I would stick away from the elm tree just because of the Dutch elm disease. I don't know if the cathedral elm is resistant to Dutch elm. I don't think Dutch elm has gone away.
I would agree. I think the 3 we should go after are the spruce, the red maple, and the bur oak. The service berries, we're already finding out that they aren't too successful. I don't know if we want Honeycrisp apples. We kind of zeroed in on crab apples for some areas. So I guess to me, those three would be the three that we should go after. And bur oak.
I might suggest Heritage River Birch as an option maybe rather than the bur oak, because we've got quite a few oaks.
Yeah, birch are kind of a short life.
Not really. I mean, they're 100-year tree, 50 to 100 years.
They are, I believe, very fast growing, if I recall. But
You're not going to see them die, Ron.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
you may not want to get
Well,
too hung up on,
you might,
you know, what kind, because,
Got a black suit.
you know,
Yeah.
most of us will be gone by then.
What was the spruce?
It's the Norway spruce.
Norway spruce. All right, so we're kind of going around in circles here. So how many of us should sign up on March 9th to get two trees?
Well, do we want, how many trees do we want?
Well, if there's 4 of us, that's 8 trees.
Right. Is that more than enough for the time, for this year?
I think that's probably the max we can handle. That seems like the max we can handle.
I think we ought to do that. And then later, when it's warmer, then we can come up with a little plan for the following years of where to put and how many we need. Because right now, we're going to buy them and then decide where we want to put them.
When did they deliver?
May 7th.
Yeah,
Problem is, we
7th,
gotta
May
do this
7th.
in a
It's
week.
on that sheet.
Yeah, we have to sign up, on the internet or their webpage or whatever on March 9th. Because if we don't have a ticket, you aren't going to get a tree.
So is everybody going to use the credit card from Applewood Point?
Well, okay, then the plan there is for whatever, if there's 4 of us that say we're going to sign up, all 4 of us will go together and they're okay. I've checked this out. They're okay with using one credit card
Card.
for all 4 of us. So who wants to be one of the 4? Okay, so we got Daryl, Ron, Mike. And yeah, yeah. And then I can be the 4th unless someone else really wants to. Okay, and the mission there is to, on the 9th, and we'll have to maybe get back together before that. The 4 of us to sign up to get the ticket. And I would assume we have to make our selection, Clyde, at that time too, do we?
When you order,
Okay, all right,
have to order which trees you want.
okay,
And they won't let. You have to order the trees on that day, what you want.
okay.
And I assume if they've already sold out, they will tell you and then you refer to another selection.
Okay. Okay, so we'll reconvene a working meeting like on the 7th or 8th of March, which is next week, to figure out which ones and who's going to sign up for what type of tree. Does that make sense?
That'll probably have to be a rolling, because let's say you go first, then you'll know which ones are sold out. So the next
Yeah.
person can,
Yeah, good point. I don't know. I wonder if we could do that. I don't suppose we can do that down here. We each have to do that on our own PC.
well, you could be on one PC and just sign up different with a different user on the Discover Egan.
Yeah.
Do it in the workroom on that piece.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. So I'll set up a meeting before the 9th. And we'll work out the details on how we're going to, what we're going to select and all that kind of stuff.
I will further research between 9 and 10, but I just got the
Yeah,
City
I
Council.
saw that too.
and it did say 10. didn't it?
Yes, it did.
So I'm not completely idiotic.
Well, we don't know yet. But-
You had members that wanted to volunteer to buy trees also.
Yes, we do have a couple, well, at least one member has come forward and is willing to purchase trees with some minor conditions as far as the location is concerned. It happens to be a location where we need them anyhow. And so I guess we should take advantage of that, the willingness to do that. It will pay for almost 3 trees. Any comments?
Well, I'm for, wherever we can get trees, we ought to get trees. Again, if we're saying 8 to 10 trees is the most, as a committee, we think we can maintain, that whatever, that was Mary Ann, right?
Yeah, correct.
We just need to, just make sure that that's within that number, I guess.
Yeah, right. So we will take advantage of their offer. And we will look out that location that they desire and see if we can accommodate that location. Okay, did I screw that up enough that we don't know what's going on there? Every time I look at this, I see bear. Oh, I did see it right once. I did do it right. Yeah, I did do it once. Oh, yeah.
Adam hasn't said anything about when Egan's going to replace those trees.
No, once again, I talked to him probably 2 weeks ago now, and there's no plan. No firm plans on when the trees that they cut down are going to be replaced or what type they're going to put in there. He did make an interesting comment. He says maybe oak, but I don't know. Last time he said red maple, so we'll have to wait and see. Okay. The crabapple trees, here again, I have a volunteer from our community, if you will, to kick in a few dollars to help purchase crabapple trees. So I think the thing there is we picked out the type. We haven't picked out a location yet, so I don't think we need to get a location established today, but as soon as we can, we should determine where to go. Go ahead.
I thought you sort of picked out a spot, Clyde, or a kind of a suggested one up towards the intersection of the 2 paths was a spot, I thought.
I may have. Mine on?
No, hit the top.
We discussed that with the forester last summer. We discussed that with the forester last summer as to location.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Are there batteries associated with this?
Yeah.
I don't think any firm thing. I just wanted so that people walking by or driving by could see that. So out there would be all right. Or if we wanted to have it there's one that you have to. Anyway, I didn't come to a firm answer or, but that would be a possibly good place. Or the other, my brain's showing, kind of that southwest corner. So if people drive by, they could see them. But I didn't come to a firm answer, and I don't think we did. I would just say, if we were southwest corner, then we have to understand where we're going to put the other trees. Would that affect where we would be thinking of putting the other trees? But it should be, I think,
Which
other trees-
which other trees you talking about?
where we plant the crab apples
Yeah.
might affect our decision of where we plant these other 8 trees.
Well,
Right.
we aren't thinking about planting any of the trees we're going to be picking up here. I don't think we're planting like in front of the building or anything like that along the southwest corner. We got enough trees there right now.
Southwest corner?
Yeah, we do. We don't need new trees there.
I'm not talking about on the sodded area.
Yeah, since the city has taken out those 2 or 3.
Oh,
I think
now, what do you,
that's-
I'm talking about the sodded area in front of the building.
I'm not talking about the
Oh, no,
sodded
All
area.
right.
Okay, do we know what we're talking?
Would you worry about that lower area back there, that wet area on the crab apples? I don't think crabs do good in real wet ground, right?
No.
No, and that's not what I'm considering. We have a thin area that's higher above the city property. No, it's probably part of the city property. So we wouldn't want to plant them, or they probably wouldn't care if we put them on city property. But
No.
not where they took those trees down, up higher where it's drier. That was my thought, not my answer.
Okay, so this is an item that we'll readdress, when time permits, we can get out there and take a look at, walk around and find out a good spot for those 3. But those 3 crabapple trees are part of the $1,000 tree replacement thing. Although we do have a member willing to kick in on purchase of the crabapple tree. So that will be of assistance to us.
Is that just crab apples?
Yeah, just a crabapple. Oh, go ahead.
The fact, $1,000 is for all the trees. That includes the crab apples
Correct,
in the 1,000.
correct.
Okay. And then these 3, the Adirondack are white blossoms or blooms on it.
Right, I believe you're
Okay.
right. Yeah,
So if we buy, crab apples in the future, we may want to look at red. Those with the red blooms or pink blooms.
yeah. If Andy were here, he'd be able to answer your comments better. But there were some, quite a few reasons why Adirondack.
They're really, really good against disease. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the big thing.
Right,
The
right,
crab apples are notorious, but these are really disease resistant.
correct. So, it's kind of a start, and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay.
One more thing to keep in mind, the trees. One more thing to keep in mind on trees, as you, in the area where we got a lot of trees, we took 2 years ago, we took a lot of buckthorn out of an area up there. There's one tree on the north side, as you're coming along and you just pass the margin of the city park property and then start of our property. And if you look to your right, it would be, if you're coming that way, there is an old tree that's got a huge branch, probably 30 feet long, that extends out over an open area where we took a bunch of those buckthorn out. That branch is probably about that thick, and it's got a crack in it. You can see through that crack. So that thing isn't going to last, who knows when. I thought it might go this winter with some of the winds we've had. But we could probably be thinking about, we're going to need to put something in there to fill in that space, because that space is pretty good size, especially when that big limb comes down.
Okay, that's one of the items we'll have to take a look at, when we can get out there and walk around. All right, moving on down the list here, the Front Island Pond. And Jeek got a phone call. If everybody recalls, last year, we had a treatment company come in periodically. I think it was every, 2 or 3 months. Anyhow, no, they came in monthly, and they put down a algae control chemical, if you will, In addition to that, they put down a black dye. So anyhow, we have a contract with them last year for $625 or thereabouts. And the question that they asked is, do we want to continue that contract? Now, to the best of my knowledge, we have not extended that. And the reason is that we have approved, the board has approved last fall on a rush basis, if you will, the installation of rock. And we got a quote from Landicon, and they were going to do it, but it turned out that they never got around to it. So we're assuming that, well, we're going to have Jake double check this, but we're assuming the costs are still valid, and that they will do it early this spring. So the question is, if they install the rock this spring, do we need to have a seasonal water treatment contract or not? So this is something, I guess, for discussion.
Well, I would assume even if we put the rock in, you still got the algae issue. Probably wouldn't see the bottom of you know, the black dye was put in, so you didn't see the bottom of the liner. But I think even if we put rock in, you're still going to have the algae issue.
I would agree. The contract, we could have Art or somebody, you know, do that algae treatment too. So might save us a few bucks there. As far as if the water needs to be black or not.
No, the
I-
reason
Go ahead.
I remember that we put the dye in is because people could look down and you would see the liner, which looked ugly. So one of the big savings on the rock is we don't have to put the dye in, because the rock, you'll see the rock when you look in there. And I'm not sure the algae is going to be a big issue. To me, that was kind of an aside. We really wanted the black dye to kind of make the, you know, the pond look pretty. And you can buy algicide and put it in, you know, probably a couple times a year. And I'm sure Art could do that a lot cheaper, you know, than paying $600.
Why don't we just put the rock in, and see what happens? If it doesn't work, we can't put the algicide in, but we should know that fairly fast.
Okay, it might not be following procedure here, but I hear a motion, I guess, to not to continue the seasonal water treatment contract at this point. And I guess all in favor?
I'll second it.
Seconded, and everybody's got their hands up, except for Mike, and he's not here. All right. Okay, so I will tell I will tell Jake. Well, maybe we'll tell jokes too. I'll tell Jake that we are not going to continue the water treatment. I'm sure we can pick it back up again, you know, almost any time. So.
Well, unless we should have Jake check first on that rock.
Yeah.
Because if we don't have the rock, then we probably need to do the dye, you know, and you know, because that was a special price given us for that fall, you know, because they had basically, they said they had time and they were kind of trying to get work for their workers, and who knows what they'll say now come spring unless they do it early enough. But hopefully they would still honor that price. Who knows?
There should be no time sensitivity in terms of putting rock in that pond. I mean, as soon as there's no ice on it, you should be able to dump the rock in there and do whatever else you have to do. I mean, it shouldn't have to wait for the really good spring weather to do it.
And it wasn't our problem that they didn't get around to it last year. That was theirs. So I would think they would honor it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the only issue is that Landicon would prefer to put the rock in while the level of the pond is low. So That's why, to me, they should do it early, this early spring, so. Okay, I'll summarize that to Jake to check on the rock first. Okay, gas service grill, I don't think there's much to discuss there. This is something that we should carry forward, if you will. By the way, all these things, what I'm going to do is even, although they've been approved by the budget approval process, I'm going to submit either, I'm not sure if it's a purchase request form or just a request for consent to the board, identifying each and every one of these that's been approved for expenditure, so we can proactively move out and get our contractors lined up for early spring. I don't know, John, if you know if I have to fill out a purchase request or just an email requesting consent on these items.
My take is that if they're truly budgeted items, I mean, maybe not identified specifically, but planned in the budget, they really should be something that Jake should just be able to do. I think since this committee has some oversight and recommendations, it probably makes sense to at least submit that these are the things we're going to proceed with, and it's our assumption that they're in the budget, and kind of ask for the board stamp of approval, if nothing else.
Okay, we'll do. I'll do that and kind of give Jake the action item and then the board the knowledge, if you will, of what we're doing here. Miscellaneous tools. We had one item come up late last year called the extractor, which is a tool kind of designed for buckthorn, although it's an upright removal, if you will. It's one that you can stand up and you don't have to squat down and use your back and all that kind of stuff. The cost is $150. So we do have, what do we have? 250 in our 250 in our budget, if I recall, for tools. Yeah, so we have 250 in our tools budget. So if this is something that we want to move ahead or just set aside for now, we can do it later. That's fine. Any comments on that?
Actually, I looked at this tool, the exact tool last year. It looked enticing, but we really didn't have a budget. So I went to Home Depot and got some cheaper equivalent, but they weren't set up the same day. They didn't work. But then I bought that claw that worked for like in the spring when the roots are kind of new, and that worked all right. This might be something we consider we miss things, they get larger, and some of us are getting older and it's going to be more difficult. So it might be an appropriate investment. But last year, because no budget item, I wasn't willing to bring up $150 item.
Okay, do I hear any kind of a motion to move ahead with the extractigator?
I will move that we move ahead and purchase the extractigator. Great name, great name.
I second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, and that motion pass. So I have to give that action item to Jake to purchase that, unless there's, I looked online and trying to find out if it's a Home Depot type item or not. I did not see it, so, yeah. So we'll work on who to buy it from. Okay, chemicals. chemicals and fertilizers.
You missed spring buckthorn removal?
Oh, okay, well, okay,
Th-
I'm
that-
sorry. Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you cover that.
Okay, I think we're behind in buckthorn removal. We don't have the big plants we did 2 years ago when we had a mass of bodies out there 2 different times and taking down trees and big bushes. But we have things, smaller plants growing up from all the seeds that are on the ground. And I would like to have a couple parties this spring to go and, I don't want to fall farther behind on maintaining them. I'd like to get farther ahead of it. So I would like to have a couple different parties to work on what we can. I will say this, I think the area over here by the pond and rhubarb area and lilac are virtually free of buckthorn. So as we can remove other areas, we can narrow down the area that we're really attacking, which we know where the most of it is where most of those big females were last year or a couple years ago. So
I'm really impressed that you know the sex of these things. I really am. A lot of people don't. I'm really impressed, Clyde, you know the sex of buckthorn plants, because I had to confess that I do not.
women have ovaries or, okay.
Well, that's true. It works that way, huh? Okay. Okay, chemicals and fertilizer. Is there any need or should we be purchasing anything now for as far as chemicals? We do have $500 in the budget, or is that something later?
I think that's something later for chemicals. The fertilizer, you're talking about the fertilizer we're gonna do, go around to the different trees and lilac and rhubarb.
Well, yeah, this to me is a kind of a key item. I think what we have to concentrate on are the plants, that Paul's put in a year and a half ago or whenever it was, 2 years now, May. And so it's for the flowering plants
Yeah,
and, yeah,
I think we have one bag of fertilizer which will not cover anything beyond the lilacs and the rhubarb and so
Yeah,
forth.
yeah.
So we're gonna end up having to buy
Okay.
fertilizer.
Okay. Okay, we have $600 in the budget. And like I say, this is one thing that we've been deficient on in the past years. I think the service berries are another one that we have to, pay attention to and fertilize this spring.
Do we know what we got in terms of leftover chemicals?
Yes, do you have a specific question?
Do we know what quantities of the various chemicals we use we have left over?
Yeah, we have enough for now. We might not need to buy chemicals this year. I mean, it's depending on how many plants are and so forth. And how much buckthorn we do, we find that we treat and so forth. Right now, possibly we can make it all year. I wouldn't promise that, but possibly we can make that.
Are we thinking of a liquid fertilizer in any place, or are you thinking of
We have a bag of solid, but that, I think only the rhubarb and the trees we planted last year, that's
Yeah.
all that would cover. So the rest,
yeah.
no opinion.
I think from an ease standpoint, I know Paul's keeps on saying we should use Miracle Grow, out of the, so we'll have to look at that when the
It'd
spring
be a lot
hits.
easier to use to spray it on. You have to do it a little bit more often.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Okay. April, early May, we'll do our spring walk around. And we'll take a look at identifying any replacement items such as trees, bushes, or plants. Sometimes the bushes are a little bit hard to identify we'll have trees too at that time of the year, but we'll do a walk around and see where we stand. The next item is asphalt driveway repair. We definitely have to do something there because we got some of these cracks are really getting quite significant. So we're going to have to do
Also
something.
on the entryway, there is a big chunk where you come in that needs serious repair on the driveway coming in into our parking lot. It's probably 3 or 4 feet long and probably a foot wide with a crack that runs all the way. It almost looks like with all the traffic on it, it's actually being pushed down. So, and then plus, I think, wasn't that this year we were going to do the striping and seal coat?
Not the seal coat, but the striping was in there.
I think we thought we'd get a better price if we went ahead and did the striping along with the repair. You know, they'll just come out the one time
Yeah,
or once or twice.
yeah, that was the plan is to not to do the seal coating yet, but everything else that needed to be done. It was brought to my attention yesterday, although I've noticed it, excuse me, by Jake that he has a personal concern with a raised sidewalk from a safety standpoint. So him and I went out there and looked, and you know, every year with the cycles of the temperature, if you will, the wintertime, that sidewalk tends to raise up, and the spring and summer it drops back down. So I told him that I didn't really see any significant difference. It does appear to be slightly higher than last year, but maybe we've had a colder winter. I don't know. But anyhow, all residents should be very concerned where they're walking when they're outside, because there are areas that are dangerous, if you will, tripping hazards. So just a word of caution to be careful when you're walking out there. Jake has got a phone call into the contractor just to have him come out and look at the raised sidewalks. So we'll see where that goes.
I'm assuming that's the same one that's every year.
Well, it's almost all the way around. I mean, it depends. If you look, a lot of it is from where you park the car and then you walk into the sidewalk area. The sidewalk is raised up from the curb, inch and a half or so. So you have to be careful when you're, leaving your car and going onto the sidewalk area.
It's Minnesota, you're gonna have that, so.
Yeah, you really can't do much about that other than be careful when you're walking. All right, these next items are items that are not approved in our current budget, but they're in the ready reserve funds. So I thought we should at least walk through them and see if it's something that we want to push forward or just kind of set aside for now. The first item was to add crushed rock around the garden beds. We have a quote of $2,000 from Quality Cutters to do that. My personal thought is I think we can just hold off until that becomes worse.
Yeah, I think that's something we could just monitor. And, the money is there if we decide to go back in and justify. But right now, I don't think you can justify $2,000 to make it look a little prettier.
Any other comments?
Do you want to make that a motion?
Okay, anybody want to make a motion?
Do we need a motion for each of these?
I don't think so. Yeah,
Well, I would think if we're going to do pick and choose each one of these, we should do. I mean, if what we're saying is we ought to just ignore that one for this year, that's fine too.
Or,
Well,
or
I
just
think
ignore it for a while.
for
and just
now, we'll monitor. it.
Later this summer, maybe take a look at it.
I think the only ones
No
we need
action now.
motions, only ones we need motions on are those that we want to, yeah, those that we want to go ahead with, yeah. Okay, the next item that was in the ready reserve was to extend areas around the base of the trees and add mulch. This was recommended by, I think his name was Kevin from.
Kevin Sturgelski.
Could you spell that, please?
One D, two L's, two D's, one L.
That was the fellow from the city of Egan, right?
Yes, a forester from this city of Egan. And I think that's a really important item to actually to help maintain those trees. He was concerned about damage and survival and so forth. So his suggestions were not just for beauty, but for the right thing to do. That was,
Yeah, he had several valid reasons for doing that. One was that the mulch area should be as big as the tree canopy is going to be in terms of if it's a cone coming down. Yeah, and he also said that it gets the mowers farther away from the lower branches of the trees, which the mowers, even when the guy's driving around on that riding mower, they'll tend to damage the lower branches and cause problems. They also mess around with the mulch a lot too, but
Okay, do we have a motion to submit this request?
I'll make the motion.
I'm willing to second it.
Okay, all in favor of going forward with a recommendation to the board to extend areas around the base of the trees and add mulch? And the price that we have from Quality Colors is $32.80. All in favor, say aye or raise their hand or whatever. Okay, opposed? Okay, I will submit a request to the board for that item.
Just one point on that, when you bring it to the board, have updated quotes or verified quotes. And maybe a little more description as to what it is you're doing.
Yeah, because the board has to approve this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, another item that we had on the ready reserve list is to replace the serviceberry bushes in the back patio. And we had Paul's nursery, I guess. Well, actually, it's Paul's Market, I think. But anyhow, Paul's submitted us a proposal for $3,025 with a plan to replace the back patio area by the fence and two small areas on the sides. So if people recall that, I guess let's open that for discussion.
Are we talking about along the fence?
Yep, right behind the fence, right by the fence. Yeah.
Right along the fence?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was
Right behind the grills.
Yeah,
Yeah, not the service berries close to the building here. Right, okay.
yeah, I think it was about, I don't know, 60 feet or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally would like to see that done and it make it, as I said earlier, that's kind of a focal point when you look out and you look at the pond and you see those kind of butt ugly service berries, all scraggly, different sizes. And I'd rather, if we're going to spend money landscaping, is do it where the eye kind of focuses. And it's good for when, people are coming in to take a look at the building to consider buying in, is to have that attractive setting.
I think if we don't get the dollars for this serviceberry bushes back here, then I think we need to make sure we get them fertilized and maintained and, maybe trimmed up, to where they're all the same size and everything. I honestly don't want why they look so bad back there, because up here by Hy-Vee, there's a bunch of service berries up there and they look great. I mean, they
You
just,
can look right over here at Quarry Apartments and they've got service berries that look good, it's.
so I don't know why they look so bad out back here. I don't know if it's because of that retaining wall or whatever it is.
I think
I
it's,
can't recall exactly what she was talking about putting in there, but I believe she was some of this kind of this tall grass that stands up all winter long. So you got something to look at in the winter too.
Right.
Instead of just.
There was a variety of
Yeah.
plants.
Yeah.
That would look very
It
appealing.
just looked like a whole better general idea.
yeah.
No, I agree with all of that. If they do replace it, that would be great. But if we don't get them replaced, then we're going to have to do something to make them look better.
Agree. There are serviceberry bushes that we will not be replacing. Like behind you, John Halteen's area. And on the other side also, but anyhow, those need attention and so go ahead.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Ron. I thought the forester looked at those and didn't really see anything perceived wrong. And what might been wrong, Ron, was that we were negligent or didn't know that we should have fertilized them. Maybe we should fertilize and try to treat them better and then see what happens. But I do think that is a very important focal point.
Well, 2 Ds and 1 L. Are you talking about this project back here along the,
He
Back
looked
fence?
at those- He looked at the.
no,
service-
that wasn't the forester who looked at that. That was this gal from
Paul's.
Paul's.
She,
Oh,
Yeah,
the
different-
landscaper,
different-
she
different
said-
situation.
a male and a female and so on. Okay, all right.
You should know that.
But it's funny. I don't think like Quarry Apartments or Hy-Vee does a whole lot of maintenance to their service berries. Because Quarry we got the same landscape maintainer here and there. And I face Quarry Apartments. I never see them doing any special attention to maintaining those service berries.
Well, part of it maybe this is, northern exposure and you get all the shade from the building, so they don't get that
We
much
got a
sun and
bad batch of
everything.
plants.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more soil related. I know Paul, yeah, Paul from Quality Cutters says that if you look at quality or Quarry Apartments, they basically are on sand. You get over here and we're on whatever's left over, stuff.
Okay.
So. Yeah. All right. So do I hear a motion to get well, I don't have a quote. Go ahead.
I will move that we go ahead with the landscaping project on the back area over here overlooking the pond.
I second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, and that motion passed. Here again, John, I will get a updated quote and a updated plan. It will be the same plan, but I'll get an updated quote. Okay, the Front Island Pond, once again, this is in the Ready Reserve area. Install river rock. This is an item for Jake Landicon, quoted 6,700. They said they were going to do it last fall. Board approved it because it was a rush deal. And here we are, springtime. Anyhow, Jake, I'm going to give Jake the action item. I've already talked to him, but to check to see if that price is still good and what their timing is. So there again, that might be just a for your information type of thing once Jake finds out. So the board is aware of what's going on there.
So the board approved last fall to do that out of the ready reserve. And then it didn't happen. So we just feel we should go back again with an updated quote to go ahead and do it this spring.
Well, I think all we have to do is get a verification from Landycon that their $6,700 is
Okay.
still good. And, just kind of inform the board that that's what's going on. So,
Okay, the only reason they said
Do
that,
you
because
agree
it's
with
not
that,
in the
John?
budget.
Yeah, it's been approved.
Yeah, it's been approved. It was a non-budgeted item in 2021 and it just didn't get done.
To be honest, I thought they had done it. but I don't.
Maybe they did. Maybe they probably did too.
Tell them to call.
Yeah,
call-
I think they
call
came out and threw
with
a few rocks in there one day and that was it.
It'll be distributed.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't get to it and then it froze. you know.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Brings up another one of our favorite topics here, fountain for the lower pond. We've had quotes around $3,500. Now, is this one that we want to move forward with? Is this one we want to?
I'd suggest we forget about a fountain in that pond. The pond is too small for a
Right.
fountain. Even if we get one in there, the wind is constantly out of the west, northwest, and it's going to do nothing but blow that water up
I totally
toward the
agree that,
front. I mean, we
that the
wasted
wind.
more
just-
time.
Yeah, the wind is, I've walked by there and the wind is blowing it from where it's coming down the little waterfall and you can feel a mist. Yeah. Right.
Unfortunately, Gene's little fountain didn't work.
Yeah, I think with the amount of research we've done here, I personally agree that we should.
We've had at least 3 vendors out
Yeah.
and all the other research and it just doesn't look like a great idea for the money.
Okay, do I hear a motion to take this off the list, basically? I don't know. We don't have to? Okay, we'll just, okay.
You know, we have a list of ready reserve items. Maybe we can just put a note in saying that, you know, we've agreed that we no longer need that and you can take that off the list. Because there is a list being maintained someplace, whether it's the finance committee or the board.
Yeah, that's what we'll do then. So we'll just kind of leave it there. We aren't going to do it. Yeah. Okay, the front planter pot. This was, let's see, how should I describe that? As you walk out the front door, on the left-hand side, there's a area kind of by the sidewalk well, it is by the sidewalk. That is a barren piece of plot of land, if you will. Anyhow, there's nothing there. And the idea and the concept was to, and this came from Paul's, was to get a get a pot. Geez, we're all having, we can get a potter. No, get a, yeah. Yeah. Let's see, one T, no, okay, to get
Easy for
a,
you to say.
to get a pot out there that hopefully would match pretty close with our decor outside. It's kind of a maroon color. And I put $350 in there. It would have to be a large one. So that requires more research as far as trying to find one if we want to move ahead with that. So any comments on this potter?
I was with her when she suggested that. And to me, that always looked like just an open bare area that something needs to be there, either plantings or I think having the pot there would be great. And it could be maintained like we do the other two that are sitting there. Or we could just put plants in ourselves and maintain them. But we need something there. And I think the pot, would really set it off
So my understanding is you're going more for the pot and not the potter that Gene suggests? Okay.
I go for the pot. you know. Large, heavy duty.
I'll tell you, the next group of grounds committee will be hard to beat this one. We have a good time. Okay, so I guess I don't know, we don't really need a motion. Maybe we need more research to find
Yeah,
the right pot here.
I'll go ahead and take a lead and then come up with a suggestion and, we can vote on another meeting, either next month or the month after.
Great, thank you. Okay, retention pond. Now, this is basically going to be falling in Jake's lap. And the first one is for Jake to contact Quarry Apartments and see if they have any plans for the spring for 2022. Assuming, and then hopefully we will find out what their plans are. But as a minimum, we want to get permission to remove invasive or undesirable trees, bushes, whatever, that are around the pond and, on the wall. And this is not just our area, it's all the way around. So I will talk to Jake again and formally request this so that Jake is aware of it. Any comments here?
Yeah, I agree that we really need to do something and that we need to work with Quarry Apartments. Again, the agreement says they've got the lead on it and then we contribute to any maintenance costs. But if the agreement also states in effect that if they choose not to do anything, we could do it and then go back to them for some reimbursement. And I don't think we want to get to that point. If Jake can, negotiate with them over there and come to an agreement what needs to be done.
And my point would be, but if we don't do something, it's not going to get better. They grow faster and,
They grow fast enough right now.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We got to do something this spring and then keep it in control. Okay, another topic that doesn't go too far, outdoor furniture. Okay, next no.
We're overcome by events.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done some double checking. United Properties, Weiss, that group, they do not have a contract with By the Yard. I found that out. What they do is they buy their By the Yard furnishings, if you will, at the state fair time. So I guess we'll address this issue at that point in time. We'll take a look again to see, do we really need something out there?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think my suggestion again is to monitor it this summer. Hopefully we'll have a more normal use of the patio because of the lessened COVID restrictions. We can see how much is being used, what exactly we need with a focus towards doing something by the time the state fair sale comes along. And we'll have a better handle on what we really think we need and present that to the board.
In general, I agree with that, except the sport court, if it doesn't have benches for people to sit on, there's going to be less participation, or if they sit on that ledge, they're going to get sticky and they're going to put pressure on that ledge that might help to damage it. So I think not having something to sit on there will reduce on the usage of that
I think
facility.
that's a good point. I think maybe we ought to put this in two parts, the general patio area, but then the sport court, maybe look at that and then make a recommendation earlier in the spring as to something to, take care of the problem that we've got for people to sit there.
Well, that sport court, since we got it all set up to use, in my observation, isn't being used very much. I mean, so I think we should monitor the usage of that too, because there ain't much happening there.
But my point is, one of the reasons I believe it's not used is because there's nothing to sit down on. So that, and we had problems right away where someone sat on the benches, or not the benches, but the 4x4s where they are, and then they got chains and well, you could certainly damage that 4x4 area too. So,
Yeah, leaning against the wall and stuff, that's not a good idea, so. Okay. I don't know how to do this because we can turn it over to members' comments, but I don't know who's going to control the Zoom part of it. And we have Steve Stemick back here. And everybody's left. Steve? I know. Steve, do you want to make any comments?
You're talking to Steve.
Oh, my God.
Exactly. I'm just as bad as John. And you give me a microphone, I'll talk. There's just one thing, one word of caution, I think, on those trees. I don't know if the rest of you, we've lived in Egan for over 30 years, and we've actually taken advantage of that tree sale a few times. They're not guaranteed. And they're not, we personally have not had real good luck with them. So I don't know that what your expectations might be, but just be prepared that you're about going to buy trees that are not going to survive. So in the number you purchase, I might want to think about that part of it. And there was a slight comment from Clyde about infringing on Egan's property. The city is very, very protective of their property. And you not only, if they decide they don't like what you did, you have to return it to the original. So we got to be real careful we do not infringe on city property.
We did it when we cut buckthorn. We cut it, but they told us, that's great, go ahead.
Well, yeah, they're not gonna,
Yeah, free
you know,
labor.
they've got a buckthorn problem that is far and away.
Bare
yeah.
root trees are a little tougher. You know,
They're hard. They are
you gotta-
hard. And
prep
that
work.
could very well, we,
Yeah.
I don't know that we ever had any
The
survive.
prep work before you put them in is, you've got to be really careful doing that. That's why my initial thing was, don't buy too many.
Have we gotten, that was something I couldn't remember.
Yeah, but we have to see what they look like this spring.
Yeah, I just wanted to, but if you maybe buy a couple extra, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to make that,
Well, I had a lake place up in Sawyer County in Wisconsin, and I got hundreds of bare root trees from them, and I had probably a 95 to 98% success rate with bare roots. Now, again, I don't know if I just had, it was actually pretty clay. I would think it was a ladder.
Yeah, I've done that with Burnsville for many years.
yeah, real
Their
nice there.
springs.
But no, I actually it was probably more the way I did it rather than.
Yeah, well, do I hear a motion on?
Yeah, we don't want Steve on our committee then. If he's-
I've noticed you got an open spot.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Steve, for your comment.
Oh,
Appreciate that. Go ahead.
The patio furniture, from what I have gathered, the concern is they really want furniture that stays over by the fire pit rather than trying to move it back and forth all the time.
Right.
So I would probably concentrate on something for there, maybe rockers, benches, benches with backs. Yeah, so a backless bench.
Well, that,
Who's going to want to sit on one
yeah,
for
but no,
very long?
that was for the,
For the sport court, I understand
Yeah.
that, yeah. But yeah, I would concentrate more on stuff for the fire pit area.
and then we can move some of that other stuff back where it belongs.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, good point, good point. All right, like I say, those people on Zoom, I apologize for not being able to get to you. Oh, Steve's going to try something.
I'll give it a shot. Where's Jake? What's Jake doing? There's no chats.
Go over to
Oh,
participants, 17 participants.
Does anybody want to say something?
they have to raise their hand if anybody,
Oh, well,
okay. Yeah, if you want to raise your hand, if you have a comment or a question or a suggestion or
Scroll up.
wondering what committee this is or,
yeah, it should pop up.
yeah, or
Don't let-
it's RIDDEL.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't let Marley talk. No.
Nobody.
Looks like you're off the hook.
Hey, how about that? Good. All right. Well, thank you for putting up with us for the last, whatever it is, hour and a half or whatever. Yeah. So we're back in the cycle here. Then our next meeting is going to be Wednesday, April 13th at 10 o'clock. And we already have some items that will definitely be on the agenda, bush removal, rhubarb rules. We have to come up with rhubarb rules, another R&R, ready reserve, replacement and refurbishment and rhubarb rules. Anyhow, we're going to come up with some rules on that. And then we're going to talk about ground cover, some areas back in the, around the woods area that we have to pay attention to and get some stuff planted back there. All right, with that, that's all I have. I'll go around.
I motion we.
Second.
Okay, motion and second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you, everybody.
This was 3 times longer than our regular meeting.
Well,
it's the first one.
But yeah, it's still.
We're making up for lost time.
Yes, we are. This is the